Hi everyone! Next week I'm flying to Romania for the RTXP 2025, which is a technical challenge held by the Romanian LEGO user group. And we are competing in 4 categories, and therefore I have 4 models. The first one is the mini racers, and for that I built this little thing. I've built lots of mini racers over the years, and this is the first time I can proudly say that I finally made a reliable front wheel drive. In the past I had issues with the wheels either falling off or being way too loosely attached, and now I managed to find a solution that allows me not only just to have a strong attachment of the wheels, but also have an option to use white tires in the front. So the white version of this tire, the same as used in the rear, is actually softer, and because it's softer it has more traction. And the way I solved the front wheel drive is that I'm using bevel gears instead of the CV joints, and these bevel gears are basically much more reliable, and they allow me to use the normal steering arm connectors, the H1s, compared to the other brick build solutions that I used before. So we have a reliable front wheel drive, and of course we also have rear wheel drive, so this model has all wheel drive. Now the rules say that we are allowed to use one Bowie's motor for driving, and I place this motor here in the rear. It is driving the rear differential here, and that rear differential is then driving the front wheel drive via U-joints, and the front wheel drive, as mentioned before, uses bevel gears to drive the individual wheels. For steering, I'm using a powered up L motor. It is driving an 8-tooth gear, which is driving a red 24-tooth clutch gear, and that is driving this gear for the steering and the steering rack. The reason I'm using a 24-tooth clutch gear is because the drive system passes through it. So on the same axle we have the drive and steering, and because it's a clutch gear, they do not interfere between each other. That's it about the mechanical details. Next we have the aesthetics. I'm really happy how the front ended up. Like I spammed a lot of lights here, but I think it looks really nice. This part here looks a bit like a fish, someone told me, so I guess I can call it fish from now on. And the front slowly tapers towards the rear, and I'm using number 7 here connectors here for the doors, which can be tilted to reveal the interior. And inside we have 2 yellow seats and a steering wheel, so it is properly detailed. The more we go towards the rear, the more we see that it tapers, and here is a Bowie's 3.0, which is controlling and powering the whole model. To access the Bowie's 3.0, you can tilt this fin, and that reveals the USB-C charging port. The fin is held firmly by these tiles here and the spoiler, and the rear spoiler, I'm really happy how it turned out using these L panels, and I'm using the same L panels for this detail here, and there are lots of smaller micro panels used here for the diffuser and other details. I also decided to leave the Bowie's motor exposed to give it a bit of mechanical detail. Lastly, there are also 2 exhausts here, and I actually played a bit with the pink parts here. I can't wait to have more pink parts available next year. So yes, this is the mini racer, all-wheel drive, really wide tires, a good steering angle of around 25 degrees, and yes, that's the theory, and we'll see how it works in practice. Next model is the Ripsaw. So basically we had to do a Ripsaw model, and we were limited to 4 Bowie's motors, and of course I used 4 Bowie's motors. I'm using the slow output of the Bowie's motors to drive this medium-sized sprocket gears for the tracks, and 1 of them in each corner, so 2 motors for one side of the track and 2 on the other. The Bowie's 3.0s, there are 2 of them, are placed here in the middle of the tracks, so it's a very compact solution, and this hole here is intentional so you can plug in the charger. So you might be asking, why am I using the middle sprockets? I could use the big sprockets to give it more speed. The thing is, I learned from past experiences that tracks are nice and low friction until you get some dirt. As soon as you get sand, mud, whatever inside the tracks, you have to realize there are hundreds of links and each of them has a bit of friction and they all add up. So I really focused more on torque than speed because I wanted this to be reliable. Another reason I'm using smaller sprockets is because these rubber pads allow the small to climb better, and of course to climb you need torque. So even though I'm only using medium sprockets, it's still very fast. So once you give it gas, you can just flip around and you have to be gentle when you're driving it. Next, we also have other details. Of course, this being Ripsaw, the suspension is very important. We have two types of suspension system. First, we have these bogies, which can tilt, so they provide the first level of adjusting to the terrain. And then, of course, the arms which bogies are attached are also suspended via shock absorbers. Now, the front arms are longer than the rear. This is for two reasons. First, to give it this kind of sense, so it's tilted rear a bit. And the second, more functional reason is that the front arms only have to support the weight, but the rear arms don't only support the weight of the vehicle, they also have to counteract the torque trying to pull the tracks. So the tracks are being pulled by the motor, and that's why the rear arms have to be a bit stronger to counteract this torque. Another and finally the last mechanical detail is a fake V8 engine. I just had enough space to basically install it, and it is driven by the rear tracks. So when the rear tracks are driving, they are driving this differential, and then this differential is driving the fake V8 engine. So we have a really good detail there, mechanical detail. As regards to interior, I just managed to accidentally knock it out. Come on. Okay, so interior, we have three blue seats, blue and gray. So there are two here in the front. There is a steering wheel, and there are also gauges. And there is one more blue seat here in the center of the vehicle. So we have full interior and fake engine, suspension, everything you want. Regarding the colors, because I don't like military vehicles, I decided to go with the typical rescue colors, so neon yellow and red, just like the Legos Airbus. So that's the tracked vehicle, the Ripsaw, and we'll see how it goes. Next, we have the buggy, and for the buggy the rules stated that no third-party components are allowed. So no buoys motors, no buoys, controllers, nothing. So I'm relying on good old powered up system. Now to get the most of the powered up system, I'm using 4 L motors, 3 for driving and 1 for steering. So you might be wondering how does that work? Well, first I managed to place the components in a really nice and compact way. So this motor here does the steering. It uses a couple of 16-tooth gears to actuate the front and the only, of course, steering axle. The motor next to it is doing the driving, and as you can see, it is geared up. It's using a 20-tooth gear to drive a 12-tooth gear, which is driving the differential. So we have one motor for driving the front wheels and one motor for steering them. If we continue towards the back, we have a powered up hub here, which is nice and exposed, so we can easily change the batteries. I'm using the one without the screws because it's just much easier. And if we go towards the rear, we have 2 powered up L motors which are driving the rear wheels. They're using the exact same gear ratio as the front wheel drive, so 20-tooth gear driving a 12-tooth gear, an additional 20 and 12 gear combination here, and these are driving the rear differential. Regarding suspension system, the rear suspension system is very interesting because I managed to cram the suspension arm and the steering and the suspension the shock absorber in the 3-studded space, which means that the rear suspension arm is actually half a stud offset, but that's okay because I'm using CV joints so they can easily go those few degrees sideways to compensate for that. The rear suspension is progressive type, so the shock absorber is attached to an angle, similar to the basically to my Dakar Racer and 42160. At the start it's soft and then it gets progressively harder until it reaches the final position. The front suspension is basically designed so it shares one shock absorber here, and this allows the model to go over small bumps and things with very low friction. So you don't have to compress the shock to go over things, and that makes it a bit more efficient. We need as much efficiency as we can because we are relying on a hub. We can provide a very limited amount of power. Lastly, we can also activate the steering system via the steering wheel. So the steering wheel is actuated to the steering system, and this is the first time I'm using these links introduced in the lunar rover, which have a 90-degree offset between the attachment points. And we have a quite good of a steering angle. I'd say it's around 30 degrees, so this model should be nice and maneuverable. So I still have to buy the fresh batteries, but it should be working really well. And yeah, that's the buggy. And finally, the trail truck. So for the competition we had to build a 6x6 trail truck. I could have been lazy and just removed one of the axles from my Tatra 6x6, but I wanted to try something new. And by new, if we look at the underside, we can see that I'm using 4 motors for driving it. I am using independent left and right wheel drive and independent front and rear wheel drive. So the one motor in the front is powering the front wheels, while one motor in the rear is powering the rear pair of the rear wheels. I'm using powered up motors for the front wheel drive because powered up motors are easier to overheat, so I put them where I expect to have a lower load on them, which is the front. The rear uses power function cell motors to drive the rear wheels, and the same motors are also driving the fake engine. So there are 2 fake engines, one on each side, and they are inline 4 types as the rules require. I think they do. Well, either way, it has fake engines. Regarding the suspension in the front is very similar as to the buggy here. It also uses a shared shock absorber, but there's 2 of them instead of 1. And when one wheel goes up, the other one goes down. So it is very efficient. And of course, it has this kind of movement too to absorb the bumps, same as the buggy. Regarding the rear suspension, I'm gonna remove this rear cover to show it a bit better. It is similar to the Tiger 6x6 rear suspension. I'm using the 4-studded links and these lift arms from the F1 cars. So when one wheel goes up, the other one goes down. And if you press both, the shock absorber gets compressed. So this is also a very efficient suspension system because in most cases you don't have to compress the shock absorbers to go over obstacles, which increases the climbing performance. And finally, the steering system. Funny enough, the steering motor is a powered up axle motor, which is placed here in the rear. So you might be wondering, why would you place a steering motor so far from the steering rack in the rear? Well, there's a very good reason. When I was building the rear axle, I needed an attachment, some kind of a structural part that is 8 studs long, and that is very unusual with the studless system. And this motor provided the perfect structural part. So it is holding the frames here together and also providing the steering power for the front wheels. And it is a very robust solution. Now regarding the steering itself, because I am basically routing the power really far from the motor to the steering system, the whole steering axle is made out of connectors, the 3-studded long ones mostly, which makes it very stiff. And thanks to the Ackermann steering geometry, which makes the front wheels steer at a really high angle, especially the inner wheel is steering at a slightly higher angle than the outer wheel, and we get around at least 40 degrees here in the inner wheel and around 30 degrees on the outer wheel. And of course the steering system is also connected to the steering wheel, so when you steer the wheels, the steering wheel is also actuated. As you can see, I can open the doors and we have white seats here inside, and so this means this model is fully detailed, interior and exterior. Finally, this is the cover. Because the chassis has to be fully covered, I made this simple cover to go over the rear axles, but it's still open enough so you can see how the rear suspension works. So as I mentioned, first time I'm using independent front and rear wheel drive, and the idea is that if you're climbing uphill, you can basically give a different amount of power to the front and rear wheels to center the model, or you can even drive the rear wheels in a slightly opposite direction to hold them and the front wheels to steer the model in place. Of course, it also has an option to skid steer because left and right wheels are also independently driven. So this is the theory behind it. It's quite an experimental vehicle and we'll see if it pays out. So these are the models. I'm gonna of course try my best to get as much footage from the competition itself. So if you want to see how well they actually performed, please remember to subscribe so you're notified when I upload the competition video itself. So thank you very much for watching and I wish you a nice day. Bye bye.